30 years ago this fall, a law professor named Anita Hill testified about sexual harassment at Clarence Thomas's Supreme Court confirmation hearings. Now, Because of Anita tells the real story of what happened and what's changed. You'll hear from journalists, witnesses, and activists, and listen in on the first public conversation between Professor Hill and Dr. Christine Blasey Ford. That's Because of Anita, a production of Pineapple Street Studios and The Meteor, out now wherever you get your podcasts.
CuriosityStream has thousands of documentary films and shows available on demand on any device. We're the Netflix for nerds, the Hulu for history buffs, the Disney Plus for the scientist in us. There sure are a lot of streaming services, aren't there? CuriosityStream is the one you definitely need if you're the type to nature dock and chill, if you're an armchair astronaut, if you prefer physics to psychics, or perhaps you know a precocious paleontologist. Go to CuriosityStream.com to learn more and sign up today.
It's Mike Shope.
Excuse me?
And the Bulldog.
What's going on with Cortland Sutton?
On WGR, Sports Radio 550.
We have the Sabres tonight, and we will have Eric Wood back for you in case you missed him. A lot of line talk with Eric, both teams. The Bills made some changes yesterday up front, and apparently will stick with them. So Cody Ford would be the odd man out. And Kansas City went ahead and replaced everybody, or just replaced and or moved everybody on their offensive line, whole new starting five from last year. So if you missed Eric talking about what that would be like and what the Bills did, stay tuned this hour. You'll hear him. I'll save my, quote, news on Peyton and Eli for another day. He needs a little bit more thought than I've given it. We've got a hockey game tonight. Joe, who is Axel Janssen-Falby?
Good question. Washington.
The Sabres claimed him from Washington on waivers, I think I saw.
23-year-old Swedish forward who hasn't played any NHL games yet. He was pretty good in both the Swedish League last year and in the AHL.
He's about to break out.
Yeah, maybe.
From what I've seen, Washington people were not happy that he got claimed or even put on waivers in the first place.
Those people know.
5th-round pick in 2016. So, yeah.
Back to the Bills. Bills-Chiefs. For whom is this a bigger game? For which team is this a bigger game?
Ooh. I think it's close. If the Chiefs were having, if the Chiefs hadn't lost one of the two games they lost, right? The Allaire doesn't fumble against the Ravens, and they get their field goal, and they beat the Ravens, whatever it would have been, 38-36 or whatever.
I think so.
I would say the Bills for sure. Like if they're going in with the same record. But the Chiefs at 2-2, I think it gets kicked up a notch if the Raiders win again tonight and they're 4-0 sitting at the top of the division, already having – no, they haven't beaten the Chiefs yet. It's the Chargers that beat the Chiefs. Sorry.
Yeah.
But I think it's close. I don't think I think you can argue either side because the Chiefs, what are they playing for? They're playing for the 1 seed, right? I mean, they've had it, but that's what they want again. And if they lose to the Bills and they're 2 games plus a tiebreaker behind the Bills for the 1 seed, and they're 2 games behind the Raiders in the division, that's big. I mean, that's a big deal. I know it's early, but it's big. And stay early for too much longer. So, and on the Bills side, obviously, they've not done this yet. This is a mountain they have not been able to climb successfully. But I think it's close because of where the Chiefs are and what the division looks like. I think that goes down. I think it would tilt more towards the Bills' favor as far as it being bigger for them if the Raiders lose tonight.
If you are Kansas City, who do you want to win this game? I think I would say Raiders. I think I'd rather chase them.
I have 2 games with them. I already lost to the Chargers. They've got a head-to-head. Well, they've got one. Right now they have an advantage on me. But they'll play them again.
I feel like the Chargers might be really good, and the Raiders are probably not.
Okay.
So that's where I'm coming from on that. but it's certainly debatable.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. I think mathematically it might be bigger for the Chiefs, but mentally it might feel like it's bigger for the Bills, just because you haven't climbed that mountain yet. And if you don't do it again, like that's going to be all you think about if you meet them in the postseason is you've lost 3 times to them, and you're going to wonder if you can actually get by them just even matchup wise. But because the Bills' schedule is so easy the rest of the way, and the Chiefs have to play the Packers instead of Washington, and their division is a lot tougher. They don't get 2 games against the Jets, and they've got to play they've got to play the NFC East. Maybe is the easier part. Cowboys, Giants, and Washington maybe is the easy part of their schedule. But I just think mathematically it's going to feel like they can't do it. It's going to feel like you're going to Buffalo if you lose this game Sunday.
But with that said, I guess I'm thinking about the Bills in '92. Right? Like, it's a struggle. They're not quite right. It's a wild card, so they're down a notch after being the other 2 years and playing at home and all that. They got to survive the greatest comeback ever. I mean, they authored the greatest comeback ever to survive the wild card round. And, I think I'm going a long way here to say even if the Chiefs don't win their division and they go into the playoffs as the 5, they're still the Chiefs. You know what I mean? Like, they got to go on the road, whatever. Like, I think I would still fear them as a threat in the conference, even if they go in as the 5. Now, they haven't had to do that, and, having the lone bye is a big deal. I mean, it's a big advantage. But I think the Bills is still the answer. I think that it's more important for the Bills to show that they can do this than it is for the Chiefs fall to 2-3. There'll be a lot written and said about how they're not the same or whatever, but they still have all that talent, and sometimes you just get beat. And I would think, they're far from, to me, a non-factor, even if they end up, like I said, like the 5 seed and have to play a wild card game.
I know I heard this on the morning show, too, so I don't want it to sound like I'm just ripping them off, but it was said there, and just sort of trying to add to it. The Chiefs' last 8 playoff games that were not Super Bowls have all been at Arrowhead Stadium. 8. 2 last year, 2 the year before, 2 the year before that, including an overtime loss to New England when New England went to the Super Bowl again. The loss to Tennessee where Mariota completed a pass to himself. And the loss to Pittsburgh the year before. I had a bet on that team. I remember that loss. But Pittsburgh was probably the better team. So 8 straight playoff games they've had have all been at home. It's been a while since they've had to do what you're talking about.
Yep.
So we don't really know anything about whether they would be up to it, which is fine. Many weeks to go. As I mentioned, we talk to Eric Wood every Monday, and we'll have that conversation for you, Mess. A lot of good details on the line play and the moves that both teams have made up front. Mike Shope and the Bulldog here. Sabres hockey follows that tonight on WGR.
Keeping up with the flood of news every single day can be quite stressful. There is climate change happening. There's the pandemic, labor movements, Nicki Minaj's cousin's friend. Hi, I am Gideon Resnick, host of Crooked Media's What a Day. Each week, Travelle Anderson, Priyanka Arabindi, Josie Duffy Rice, and I are going to break down the biggest news stories of the day in a way that hopefully doesn't always make you want to cry. New episodes of What a Day drop every weekday at 5 a.m. Eastern. Listen on Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
There's a lot of streaming services out there, each filled with reality TV, comedy, drama, and of course, superheroes. But there's one dedicated entirely to nonfiction TV and documentary films, and that's Curiosity Stream. History, science, nature, we've got it. Space, dinosaurs, big cats, we've got that too. And pretty much anything else you want to explore. Go ahead, add some smart TV to your smart TV with Curiosity Stream. Go to curiositystream.com to sign up and start streaming today.
The climate crisis is here. Time's slipping away to stop the worst effects of global warming, and we need solutions. Hosted by me, Molly Wood, How We Survive dives deep into the economics, the tech, and the human stories behind those solutions. From billionaires trying to monopolize lithium mines to business rivalries so fierce that one CEO was dragged off a plane by federal authorities. How We Survive, following the money to the end of the world because our survival might depend on it. Listen on Odyssey and everywhere you get your podcasts.